All right, here we are. We're gonna do our first pandemic episode of the Music Retail Show, coming from two different locations.
Yep.
We've actually never done this before, so this is a
No,
first.
no, and hopefully we won't have to do it that many times, and we can get
I
back to
know,
somewhat normal.
I
So
know, I know, I know. We've got something on the schedule that maybe we've got to do another one. Maybe next week. We'll see how that plays out.
yeah,
But yeah, you
yeah,
never
we're going
know.
to
We'll
talk
see when
about
we
that
get back
too.
to normal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and kick in.
Yeah,
And just get started. Because what we're going to do is for everybody listening out there and watching, is we are going to do a couple different things. You mentioned we're going to meet again next week, and I'll go over that here in a second. But today, what we're going to do is you and I are just going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation of what's life like for each one of us, what we're doing to combat everything, and just
that's
hang
right.
out and talk. And hopefully through that, a lot of people can have some kind of comfort that they're not alone. Hopefully, maybe
Hmm.
there's some ideas that we might have. I don't know about that. I'm not full of ideas today, but maybe there's some ideas that people will get, and hopefully we can just kind of hang out and everybody can enjoy it, and yeah, just have some fun, man.
Yeah,
So
man, this is definitely different times. I mean, we've talked about, and obviously we can expound on this a little bit more. But man, Hannah and I've talked about, we just never experienced anything like this. This is just something completely new. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see the feedback that we get after this episode, just of what other people have been going through as well. So,
sure, I agree with that. So let's go ahead and hop in. And first of all, man, how are you doing? How's your family doing? How's your circle doing?
man, we're doing good. What's funny is we left, I think, the building at the end of March 22nd. I think that Tuesday. I think that's the day. And it's funny. We everybody went to the stay in home effect, based off of the state of Tennessee and our city of Franklin. And I came home and we all got something different. Like,
Yeah.
Jackson got sick, Graham got sick, Hannah got sick. I ended up getting sick. So for that first week and a half that we weren't going to work or doing anything, we actually dealt with, a little bit of sickness going through the house. But thank goodness it wasn't COVID-19,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
mean, it was just
and we
just a
just had to
normal flu.
put up with it a little bit. But
Yeah,
man, it kind of it stunk going right into that.
yeah. No, but at least you guys didn't have the virus. I mean, that's a good
Yeah,
thing. You
absolutely.
know.
My goodness. And there for a second, and Hannah was feeling a little iffy, feeling like she had some respiratory problems, and it got scary for a second.
Sure,
You
sure.
think the worst when things like that come around, but thankfully she actually went and got tested, and her test came back negative. So
Which is awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
my son was sick too, and he thought he had the same thing. And that's when you and I talked, and I
yeah,
told you about that, and he came back negative. So just to kind of assure you that it probably wasn't the virus, I had
yeah,
said that, hey man, I bet you got just the normal flu, change of weather kind of stuff. And
yeah,
thankfully, it came back that way because
yeah.
it's scary.
Yeah, everybody on the face of the planet that went through, like, spring's coming out, flowers are blooming, and allergies are kicking up. I bet you so many people were like, "Do I have it? Do I have it?" Because
Oh
they're
yeah,
sneezing and coughing from the pollen.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
anyways,
Common
but
sense kind of gets thrown out the window at times in our
yeah, we've
life.
been good. But outside of that, we've been good. So how have you guys? How have you been at your place?
I've been good. I mean, kind of like you, the same. When we shut down for a minute, I was like, what all am I going to do with my time? And
Yeah,
so, not to get into the details of it, but 3 times a week, I have to go out anyways. And so, what I was doing is that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I was thinking, man, when I'm done, I'll come home and pack up my stuff, go to the cabin for the next day, and then come back that night. And so I did. I got a chance to go out to the cabin probably since I've seen you, probably a half a dozen times.
okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
so, I am, as you know, addicted to planting stuff. So with that, I've planted, I think 28. Oh, no, I have 26, and I just got 2 more. It'll be 28 blueberry bushes.
Man,
And
28. Holy cow.
yeah, and we can get into that in a second. And then also 12 fruit trees. Now, I've planted, or wait a second. Yeah, 12. I've planted 4. I've got 8 more out my house. As soon as I get some dozer work done, I'm going to plant those in the area that is going to be cleared out.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, cooking. Oh my goodness, I've cooked so much food, but it's just literally I give it to my son and his fiance and just go, hey, you
Mm-hmm.
guys want dinner? But I've made uh, elk and deer chili. I've made
Man,
venison
that sounds good.
roast. I've made cobblers. I've made homemade ice cream. My grandson Cohen came over, and him and I made homemade ice cream. And I mean, I've just been cooking a lot, But
Yeah.
thankfully, I'm not eating it all. I'm
Yeah.
kind of the best that I can eating normal and doing normal routines. Either that, or I probably couldn't get through the front door. So, but
Actually, I will say this. I realize, just the way that now my wife is making me, Hannah's making me breakfast, lunch, and dinner as,
wow.
trying to work and everything like that. I feel like I've lost a couple pounds purely because I'm eating healthy for 3 meals a day.
No, I agree with that, and I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of times I was getting in the habit of going through and picking up breakfast at like, whoever, and then eating out at lunch and stuff
I
like that,
know.
and then dinner I would make a really good dinner, that was
Yeah.
healthy and whatever. But then for that period of time, I did maybe once a week or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's really, I don't know if it's made a difference. It saved me a few bucks, but no, that's a good point to bring up. And actually, I've enjoyed eating some better quality food. So that's a plus. So
Yeah. And, I've gotten a few things done around the house. My yard looks really good because I've mowed my grass like 6 times in the last couple weeks because I can.
yeah, yeah, sure,
So, I planted a few things, and Hannah and I've spent a lot of time in the garden. We've spent a lot of time in the garden.
awesome.
Our garden actually looks really good right now because we've been able to really spend a lot of time in it. So
Yeah, I need to, once I get all this stuff planted and I got a bunch of work out at the cabin I got to get done. I have kind of a raised bed situation for my house that I'm gonna
yeah,
get on because it's not a big situation. Normally in the past, as you know, I have a big garden and I have a lot of stuff. But this year it won't be so much, but at least something to plant. I enjoy it.
yeah.
So it's good. But a question that I was curious about, and I think everybody else is probably curious, is how has this affected your individual life and your decisions and what you have going on with your family?
Well, I'm sure mine and your stories are probably very similar to everybody else's, but I think a big part is there's the entire country, well, the entire world is kind of going through this, and I feel like we're just trying to play our part. We've been staying at home, we've been staying isolated as best we can, but you know what? In reality, we do run out to the grocery store. I'll run someplace. I had to go ship something to Hannah's sister, so I went over to the post office. I'm doing stuff that we need to do, and not feeling guilty about that at all
Yeah,
because realize that the quarantining that we have can only go so far. People still have to eat. People still have to live, and but we're doing it as little as possible and making some of those sacrifices. I'll tell you one thing: I put gas in my car on the way home the last time we were at work, and
yeah.
I haven't put gas in my car
Wow.
since.
Well, hey, gas
So
prices are cheap, so go
I
run
know,
around
gas
and
prices are
empty your
cheap.
tank. I
Yeah, I
paid
know.
a $1.49 the other day.
$1.49. That's
Yep.
great. I haven't even actually looked, and in fact, I'm at the point now where I probably need to go get gas because I've been driving for 3.5 weeks, almost 4 weeks on a tank of gas.
Well, you run
So,
on empty all the time anyway, so that's
oh, I
nothing
do.
new.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how far I can push that.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a daredevil, man. I don't feel like
Yeah.
when I was a
Yeah.
kid, and I'll be quick with this. My stepdad, who just to be candid, was a complete idiot. I think I've shared that with you before.
Uh
We
huh.
would run out of gas at least once a week. At
What? A
least once a
week?
week. Yes,
Once a
because he
week?
would put $5 a day in his truck, and at the time, probably got 8 miles to a gallon. And at least once a week, we would run out of gas to the point
Yeah.
where he had a gas can in the bed of his truck. And I remember as a kid going, "How stupid is this?"
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
Fill
I'm not
up your
that bad.
tank. Fill up. No, you're not. No, you're not. And that's why I joke about it. But it's like fill your. So to me today, every time I go get gas, I top it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know, and a lot of people are like that. In fact, I've known people. There was a woman I worked with at when I worked at another company, and sometimes we'd have to go to meetings, and she would notice that my gas tank in my car was below 50%,
yeah.
and
Oh,
she'd be like, "Are you not going to go get gas?" And I was like, "Well, why would I go get gas?" As soon as her gas tank hit half full, she'd stop and get gas. She felt like that was being too risky, and I was just like,
nah.
"That's just crazy."
I'm not
But
that
anyway,
compulsive, but
I'm a
yeah.
daredevil.
No, I got you. Occasionally, I'll get down where my light comes on
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever. But again, I
right.
ain't walking, so I'm filling it up.
Yeah,
So,
that's
well,
right. But life is life. Life is fine. We've adjusted. I'm sure what a lot of people are going through too is that, I'm seeing my wife and kids a little bit more now. We started MIRC started working from home, and we made that available
yeah.
starting last week. So that's created some new habits, and what's going on, and but I realize, things are different. But I think as long as people are willing to kind of adapt and see what they can do, everybody will be just fine.
Now, so the interesting thing, and this is going to be a question, is it's either divorce rate's going to go through the roof, alcohol, or you're just fine. I mean, how are you and
Yeah.
your family? Do they hate your guts yet, or are you guys actually embracing it and enjoying it to the fullest?
We're actually embracing and enjoying it. Hannah has told me a bunch of times. She's like, I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
I've eaten. I get up in the morning and I eat breakfast, with the kids. I haven't every morning, but just because of some work stuff that I had to jump on right away. But there's been plenty of times I got to eat breakfast with them, or I'll take a 20-minute break and go inside and eat lunch with them. Those are all things never could do before, but
Sure.
I can do them now, and we'll just embrace them for the time being, and just kind of appreciate that. So I don't think Hannah's ready to divorce me yet, but
Well, she
I
could
think she's
marry
doing
up. I
okay.
mean, but that's another subject we can have another day.
That's right. Hey,
Hey,
did you say she married up?
what's that?
Did you say she married up?
I think you're cutting out. I can't hear you.
Oh, did you say?
No, no, no.
Dang it!
Yeah,
I
man,
fell for that one.
hook, line, and sinker. Now,
I know.
here's an interesting question because you have kids at home. My kids are out of the house, are grown, but you've got three kids, and something that has gone through my thought process is how are you dealing with the personality types? Because you may have someone that's outgoing, one that's a little bit more like spending time alone. And I mean, have you noticed personality changes, or have you sit there and go, "Hey, Graham needs a few minutes by himself because this is too much social contact"?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as a family, we've always been in habits. I go to work, I come home, and then we kind of get in a lot of that stuff, or maybe I carry the emotions of work home, and I got to deal with that. Where, now, I guess it's nice. We've been around everybody. Now I've been able to isolate myself a little bit and separate, and so I just close the door, and Hannah and the kids know, hey, I'm working, I'm on the phone, I'm doing things, and so there's still some isolation there for sure that I'm able to do, but the kids, seeing them, I think that we homeschool, so they're doing school, they're doing school right now,
Yeah.
so the as far as personalities or everything like that, I think everything's fine. Nobody's been too crazy, because I deal with that anyways in the evenings typically when I come home. So My kids are crazy anyways. They're 13, 11, and 7.
Yeah.
So I'm right in the middle of the ages where, you know, they could run into a brick wall and they just seem to bounce off and keep going in a
Yeah.
different direction. So,
Well, I bring that up because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening and watching that they have kids at home and they're dealing with personality types, and they're
yeah.
probably, in some cases, it's easier to maybe get a little more tense with them because
Hmm.
you're at your wits' end. But it
Yeah.
is good for us all to understand that there's a lot of personalities out there, and to make everything in our home a cohesive, we have to identify that as adults and as parents. We have to identify, and even a friend of mine, they homeschool. They've got 8 kids, and
What?
yeah, well, you've met them, but they have
I
eight
got
kids.
3.
Yeah, well, they're awesome kids. They do a wonderful job with them.
Yeah.
And something that they did the other night at the dinner table was sit down, and they had some flashcards, and they handed them out and gave every one of them something to write with, and said, "What do you need right now?"
Yeah.
And I thought that was awesome because some of them might need a little more alone time. Some people might share some things that they've never shared before. While we're out right now, I want to try this hobby or this something that they might enjoy. And so I bring that up because I thought it was an awesome job.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll find out more about your children when you ask. And a lot of
Yeah.
times as parents, I've been guilty of not asking those questions,
Yeah, and
and
we've had to gone through a couple times where I had to be honest. The kids want to see me or hang out with me, and which is great. I love that, but I've had to be honest with Hannah and say, listen, I can't do this right now. I'm thinking of, I've got 2 clients that want this to be done. I've got these 2 clients that I'm working on this, and you know what? I just need to be left alone for the next 3 hours because I've got to solve these issues
yeah,
or create these orders. And my family, Hannah and the kids have been very good of going, okay, great, and then they respect that.
yeah,
So I think that as families are working from home and doing what they can right now, that honesty is one, which is part of what you're talking about, just even asking the questions, but being honest about that. And then, of course, to a level that everybody just needs to respect each other
sure,
because at the end of the day, we're all trying to contribute to keep the companies or the music stores moving.
yeah,
A lot of our customers I'm talking to on a daily basis, they're working on 1 or 2 skeleton crews, maybe at a warehouse where they're trying to sell a lot online, and they're just trying to stay focused and ship those pieces or see what, inventory management, but they're having to adapt because they might have the buyer at their home and then the people shipping and receiving at a different location. And so, working with those dynamics, so um, I think the family dynamic, we just have to be honest and say up front and realize that at the end of the day, you still have to be productive. But
yeah.
but asking those questions, like you said, I think is part of that process.
Yeah, I agree with that. So it brings up, we kind of ran into 2 things, so that gives me 2 questions. The first one, that's one of the ways when we're talking about the family that's changed you guys as a family dynamic. So I'm going to ask
Yeah.
the question, what else has changed that? But hold that thought, and I'm going to come back to the second thing you said, and that's you alluded about the difficulties of it to do business. And we weren't going to jump into business. We were going to talk about each other, but I think it's a great segue to talk about business and what's going on in their life. And one thing that I have found recently is that we all need to have more grace with each other and
Mm-hmm.
stop shaming each other.
Yeah.
Because, and an example might be if you're going to work and your wife was saying, you're crazy for going to work, but you're the breadwinner. And in a lot of cases, you've invested in a store, your whole life's wrapped up into it. Now, women and men, I think we can agree, are wired different. And
Mm-hmm.
rightfully so, they're thinking about the little kids in the house and they're thinking about their household. And I agree
Mm-hmm.
with that. And I understand that. And I I have a lot of sympathy and like I said, understanding for that. There's also the man in a lot of cases that his everything is in it, and their bills are coming due. They're, everything is going on, and he's like thinking, I have to go out and make money, or I have to keep these doors open because we have X amount of people that rely on us. And man, I'm juggling both because realistic, more times than not, the man is like, yeah, I want to stay home. If our monthly obligation is taken care of, yeah, stay home. You feel a lot more. Yeah, I'm gonna stay home. I got friends of mine that are that way, but yet then when I point out that there's young adults and young families out there that cannot afford it. They have no nest egg. They have no cushion. They don't have parents they could rely on. And they have to make a different decision. Through all that, whether you agree with it or not, I think we all need to have more grace with each other, more understanding, and support each other. Again, I've got friends that I don't agree with what they say, but I understand what's going on in their life, and I want them to be the best that they could possibly be. So
yeah, and that and that's it. That's an excellent point that I think everybody needs to deal with too. And even in our household with Hannah and I, the natural reaction is to go, well, don't go out there, stay here. But then at the same time, then after you kind of be honest and you kind of voice your thoughts and stuff like that, then there's a time where then we had to come back and be realistic and consider both of our opinions.
Sure.
So, but you're right. I mean, I've heard several stories, so far with people that I've been talking to that they're just kind of like, man, staying at home and doing nothing. That I wish that's great, but I need to figure this out because I can't afford to not. I've actually talked to one person of a client of mine. They've already put their music store up for sale.
Oh, wow.
So now I will say they were struggling when times were good. Now when this hits, I think they're just going, it's time to move on and not do this. So this is going to force people to make decisions, but to add strength to your argument, they're forced to be put into a situation that they have to make tough decisions. And so to shame them into anything differently or what we should force people to think what we think, I think is not a good thing. We need to have more grace for people and realize that they're having livelihoods. So if they are people that they need to go out, then maybe we can encourage them to go, okay, well, do you want to wear a mask, or, encourage them in ways that maybe they can contribute to the overall health of the community that they're in. So,
and I agree with that.
But you're right. We need to be way more gracious with people in this time. The last thing we need to be doing is yelling at people, forcing our opinions on them.
So before you answer the first question, let's lighten it up a minute. Have you seen any ridiculous outfits?
All I've seen is I've only seen some pictures.
Yeah.
When I've gone out and gone to the grocery store, or I've gone out, like I went to the post office, everybody's just got normal masks on. So
Gotcha.
I haven't seen any in person. I've just seen some of the pictures. Have you?
Well, yeah, not as ridiculous as I've seen. I sent you one this morning. Did you get the one that this morning I sent? And for everybody that's listening,
like there's just no way that can't be real.
No, look in her eyes. It's real. Yeah. And the sad part is she's probably married and had kids. So to tell everybody what's going on is there was a lady, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, that had an antivirus disc from a computer rubber band to her nose. So
that'd be like if I just wore this cup like this.
Exactly. Well, and a friend of mine, he's up in Knoxville, and his daughter sent him one that they had a 5-gallon clear water thing that they cut out and had the water thing over their head. So, his daughter actually took it, so it was somebody that actually was really doing it.
Oh my goodness!
Probably the craziest thing that one of the craziest things that I've seen is probably a week ago. I was at the grocery store, and there was a guy, and it was really kind of odd. He was big, man. He was probably 350, 375, and he had one of those carts that you motorized, and he had
Yeah.
these weird gloves on and this weird face mask, but yet he kept stopping and getting up and walking around. I'm like, it was interesting. So I was like, I'm not going to have an opinion. I understand. Let's let it
Yeah.
go. And then I went over to the meat area to get some, probably chicken breast or something like that. And then while I'm doing this, probably about 5 aisles down the way, they brought out a skid of toilet paper. And as you know, I'm sure everybody knows that toilet paper has been one of them hot buttons. Well, he takes off his mask and starts screaming, "They have toilet paper over here. Come get your toilet paper." And he's freaking out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, are we to that point that
Yeah.
that's the way toilet paper makes us act? And I just
Yes.
kind of, I got a kick out of it because it was very, very comedic. And I just kind of went about my business. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah.
weird. That's weird. So,
Man, I'm telling you, it has, and I haven't heard too many weird stories yet where people have gotten vicious, locally. Obviously, you can probably hear some people sharing stories, maybe online or social media if you know somebody from another state. But so far, everybody around here has seemed to be okay. In fact, I think at this point in time, you can actually go to. I think you can actually go to the local grocery store, and there's actually toilet paper on the shelves, as far as
yeah.
I know. So,
And I haven't really found anything too crazy. I was at the grocery store. It's probably been close to 2 weeks ago, and there was a lady in
hmm
front of me, and she had a full cart of stuff. And it's easy for us to judge everybody and say they are going crazy and buying everything they possibly can, and they're the reason why
yeah,
it's the problem. Well, she had 2 cartons of eggs and 2 gallons of milk, and they would only allow her to have one of each. And she
yeah,
said, "Listen, I understand that, but we're a family of 7, and I can eat this in 1 week, and or our family will consume all this in 1 week. I don't want to come back, And I just sit there and I go, I think she's telling the truth, and so I just said, hey, let me have it. I'm going to buy it for you. I said it's close to Christmas, which of course it's not, but I bought it for her and gave it to her, and she was grateful. That's the kind of stuff that we need to do. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but take a look at the situations. Everybody's situation is different.
yeah.
Everybody has something going on that's different than you. So don't judge everybody by what you have going on.
That's exactly right.
Take a look at what's going on in their lives.
Yeah,
Try to accommodate people. It's a great time to do it. And
yeah,
of course, it was probably $6 worth of stuff. I don't give a crap about $6
yeah.
today.
That's
What I
right.
do care about, I walked out and going, her kids are going to have milk and eggs for the rest of the week. And I was like,
Yeah,
I'm fine. I'll give you
that's
$6
excellent.
I'll give you $6 every day if that's the case. So, but
Yeah.
anyways, go back and answer the question about, what your family's doing, how are they adjusted, anything odd about it?
We actually, well, and that's fine. That's actually a good one. So, man, we've, obviously, like everybody's done, we've watched some movies. I heard that streaming services are absolutely killing it right now.
Yeah.
But we've played some games. We've actually had here in Tennessee, we've actually had some pretty decent weather for the most part.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of outside. We've been outside. Um, uh, like I said before, Hannah and I have done a lot in the garden. Audrey, our youngest daughter, is really into gardening, so I built
Oh,
her a box of her own.
she's a cutie.
Oh yeah, and so she's really into it. She planted her own carrots and lettuce seeds, and I think some broccoli too,
Awesome.
actually.
Yeah.
So, we've literally been doing that, and I will say this: we've tried not to just do everything together all the time, because to go back to your point from earlier, if you all of a sudden you do everything together all the time, all of a sudden you're like, well, I kind of don't want to do that. So,
Sure.
the boys will go outside and play in the backyard by themselves, for a while, and Audrey will ride her scooter around in the driveway, and we're just trying to be somewhat normal, but
Sure.
still encouraging each other to do things, together. But it's worked so far.
Yeah, and
If
that's
you got to
awesome.
quarantine yourself
Yeah, and
for,
that's that.
just for 2 or 3 weeks, you can make it happen. We'll
Sure.
see if this turns into something like the zombie apocalypse and we're
Oh,
quarantined for like 2 years.
like I said, I'm going to the cabin. Screw all you guys. Well, I know my neighbors have probably think I'm nuts. The other day, it's been probably close to a week ago. I don't remember exact time frame. I brought my 4-wheeler home, and
Yeah.
uh, and I went into all my shrubs in the front. Man, I've hooked my winch around it and just yanked them all out. And
Yeah.
so actually, I had horrible landscaping when I built my house. They
Yeah. It's awesome
it
landscaping.
was horrible. I tried to give it to you, and you didn't even take it. But
Yeah.
I planted 9 blueberry bushes in there, and I'm going to add one more probably tonight. So I have
Dude, that's
10.
great.
I have 10 blueberry bushes in my front as my landscaping. So I know
Well,
my
man,
neighbors. They're shaking their
blueberry
head,
bushes
going, "This guy's
they
crazy."
look great.
Yeah, yeah. They're a little scraggly right now, but I've got a couple different ones, and they'll fill out. I mean, you know how it
Yeah.
is. I'm using some fertilizer on them so they leaf out, and they'll be fine. So
Yes.
I'm excited
Awesome.
about them. Yeah,
Very cool. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think we're just kind of we're just doing what we can. It's just different times, man.
yeah,
And I get it. You read a little bit of the news and see the unemployment rates, and and you see, with the payroll protection, all that's already out of money, and I've even talked to some of my customers, and they've applied for that, hoping that they can get that and everything like that. But and that's all well and good. But I think at the end of the day, we really need to be encouraging each other, and like the point of this conversation, just letting people know that nobody's alone in any of this.
no, and I think truthfully, we're going to look back. And it's going to all be okay. It's
Yeah,
horrible. You talked about a client going out of business. Man, I hate hearing that. I don't
yeah,
want to hear about it. I am very, very bummed out about that. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're going to probably put more funding in. They're probably going to do other measures to prop this up.
yeah,
And at the end of it, I've already examined my own personal life and say, what can I do without? What do I really
yeah,
need? How do I need to spend my time?
yeah.
I've been very grateful to go over. Last night I ate a dinner, or was it last night or the night before? What's today? Friday. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, it doesn't matter. But I went over and I ate with my son, his fiance, my grandson, and my daughter came down. So we all
Oh,
ate. We ate dinner. It was kind of crazy. Chewy's is a local restaurant. It's probably in a lot of the areas of people listening. They actually sent a van out to the subdivisions, and if you order by 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, you can have food. So I bought food for
what?
everybody. Yeah, it's awesome. Saturday and
Hold on, I
Sunday,
need to look that up.
well, Saturday and Sunday they'll be back in Spring Hill. So today they're not. Saturday and Sunday they are. So you call them and find out what subdivision. But man, we had creamy jalapeno sauce, as you know, is awesome. There's salsa, a bag of chips. I had the burrito that I always get. It was awesome, man. And we just sit down and had family time, And
Dang
so,
it.
well, do it this weekend. I'm telling you, it was awesome. We had to rewarm up a lot of stuff, but hey, what do you expect? I did not
That's okay.
care. I did not care. I mean, it was so good, man.
Out
So
of this
what's
out of
that?
this whole podcast, all the good things we've just said, that might have been the best thing I've heard so far.
I think you're right. Yep.
Chewy's delivers.
Yep. Well, and to be honest with you, I might do it again Sunday. So
Okay.
yeah. So but like I said, I am just trying to adapt, trying to do whatever. My anxiety levels is at a all-time low because I've really made a decision to just go with the flow, do the best that I can
Yeah.
with what I have, and just help.
That's
Help
right.
each other, encourage each other. We had a guy the other day who's one of the greatest guy, Al, Crazy Al's
Mm-hmm.
music. He was talking about listening to our podcast and how much that's helped him out. And I tell you what, it encouraged me. It encouraged me
Okay.
because he's the greatest guy. I'll forward it to you. He's the greatest guy in the world. Him and his wife and daughter, they're awesome people. He's struggling right now. He's struggling because of like everybody else. He's like, man, I hope this gets over soon. I need to make some money. I need to keep these doors open. And I feel for him. And I
Yeah.
want them to be successful like all of our dealers. But through all of that, it really, really, one thing that I'm learning, and I hope I get better at this, is to bond with our friends, our family, and our dealers. We've got
Mm-hmm.
incredible dealers, as you know, incredible people that their life is not great right now. In a lot
Yeah.
of cases, they're hurting, man. They're trying to
Yeah.
keep the doors open. They're trying to keep the lights on. They're trying to keep
Yeah.
as much staff as they possibly can. So I know for myself, whatever I can do is help them.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do to encourage them, whatever they need. I've had a lot of conversations with dealers, and I just said, here's my email. Call me here at work. I'm not going to give them my cell phone, but you know what I mean. But, I've been telling them is like, call me, let's hang out, let's talk. Because there's a lot of times they need to just have a conversation. They need to vent.
That's right.
They need to just get it out because their life, frankly, sucks right now. And I
Yeah.
hate it. And we will do whatever we possibly can to keep them in business, keep them active, get them inventory, whatever, because we've got, I don't know, 30 days. I don't know what the math is, but we've got a period of time to get them through that. It's my responsibility. It's your responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities is let's help get the dealers through it because times are not great for them. I completely
Yeah.
understand it. I hate it. But like I said, we have committed as a company, and again, we weren't going to talk about this, but I'm going to let it go. As a company, committed to help people out and do whatever we possibly can. Now, I'm not going to ship them free guitars. Can't afford it. We got to keep these doors open. But we sure can, again, spend time with them, get them product that they'll do well with, whatever it takes. So anyways, that was
Yeah. I
free.
think.
I didn't mean that.
Yeah. Well, but no, that's all part of the deal. I mean, at the end of the day, what they can accomplish at work, they're going to take home to their home life. The
Yeah.
attitude, and whatever we can do to support people. I mean, and to be honest with you, I mean, we're in business because we do have such a great group
Yes.
of clients.
Yes.
So it is our responsibility to listen to them, to work with them, to have conversations with them, to be able to contribute to that. Now, I know of some companies they're killing it right now.
Oh, yes.
They
Yes.
they they're at the right place at the right time, and I'll say this: they have spent the last 5 to 6 years building a great online presence, and
Well, and
it's paying off
yes.
right now.
Yeah, and you bring it up, and
Um,
we've talked about it a lot, and we've
mhm.
encouraged a lot of people to do it. I hope people are listening because right now, I just read a minute ago, which I think it's been about a week or so, but I don't know exact math, that one of the big online guys is shut down. So there's, I don't know how many millions a week or a month that they do, but it's a lot. Well, now it's available for all of our dealers.
That's
So
right.
you need to sell online. You need to present yourself in a great fashion because it's time to, even in bad times, even as sad as it is, and even as much as we don't want it, in times like this, you have to do the best that you can and elevate your business and your I guess you're just your business and everything you got
Yeah.
going on. So
Yeah.
so even though it's a bad time, it's like the saying, turn lemons into lemonade.
That's right. Yeah, the best you can, and maybe you have goals set that you want to hit a certain thing. Well, hey, at this point in time, maybe it's time to readjust those goals. You and I have talked many times
Yeah.
about setting goals for your business, reassessing things.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't the exact time to reassess it because you're just trying to survive.
Well, and that's
But
reassessing it. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's right. And maybe it's just reassessing it from a different perspective, which I think we should obviously encourage everybody they need to be doing. So, but what you said earlier, I think is a big deal that I think everybody needs to deal with. Is it's what can we figure? What can I decide that I can do without?
Yeah.
Because if we can streamline and we can figure this out, then man, I think we're all going to be better for it in the long run. I will say this though, it'll be interesting to see what the new habits that come out. Like how they're joking, people are. I don't know if they're joking, but how, like, what if people stop shaking hands?
Ah.
Like, what if we never shake hands again because everybody just goes, well, I'm fine with that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they've thrown that out there. Like, what if we do that? Won't that would be weird?
Yeah.
The habits that'll come out of this.
They'll come back, thankfully. One thing
Yeah.
that I have learned is I don't need to get a haircut and I don't need to shave my beard. And I can grow a beard.
See,
Yeah. And I look back on it. Once upon a time, I had hair down to the middle of my back. And I'm like,
yeah.
I can't do that today because it's missing in the front. And then I'll look like.
I still think you should do it.
No.
Hey, just grow the back part and all the way down.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You kind of
a
you
mullet,
could look like
huh?
Rex Carroll used to.
Yeah.
There's a name for you.
Oh God, yes. Well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not even going to share with everybody who Rex Carroll is. Google it.
I know. Don't
He's
do
a
that.
smoking
Don't do
guitar
that.
player, though. He is a great guitar player.
Yeah.
So let's skip that and let's talk about something else. Now, you mentioned about going out and obviously there's life that you have to live. What are you doing food-wise? I know this is off the subject a little bit, but supplies for the home and what's going on there?
We've been doing lots of pastas, but I'm fortunate to Hannah is a great cook.
Yeah.
So, or at least she is in my opinion. And so, she makes all of her own bread every day.
Wow. So
we have fresh bread every day. She makes that. Like we had pasta last night. She makes the pasta sauce herself.
Wow.
The things that we're eating here at the house have just been great. So
you got
she
any
made
extra
taco
room at the
soup the other
table?
night.
I think I'm going to
What's
come
that?
over. I said, you got more room at the table? I think I'm going to come over and eat.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
right.
good, man.
Yeah. And the kids love it. We typically eat everything that Hannah makes in the evening because, we enjoy it and everything. But we've been doing that, that's kind of our lifestyle anyways.
Yeah.
So, it's, but it's been great. And Hannah's been trying to go. She's like, I don't want to make the same thing over and over again. What would you want tonight? And so sometimes you have to, be a little creative, or I have to support her a little bit in that.
Sure.
So.
And sometimes eating the same meal a couple times a week, it doesn't matter. It's good. You want it. You're fine with it,
Yeah, absolutely. So, but you've probably made some good meals, huh?
Yeah, I like I said, I have been cooking a lot. I've been giving my son a lot because I don't want to eat everything I've cooked, just because it's too much. I mean, I've literally made a double batch of chili the other day, and I gave half of it to my son and his fiance. And I'm going to give some to the gutter guy, but it's not going to be edible. No, I'm just kidding. That's the noise back there if anybody hears that. But my neighbor, the one with all the kids, Chris and Allie is their name. They're awesome people. So I don't mean all their kids as a negative, but I made them dinner. I gave them a big batch of chili, made homemade cornbread, and I texted them earlier in the day and I said, hey guys, if you guys want, I've made a big batch of chili. And she was like, oh my goodness, I've been so busy today. And she was doing errands that she didn't have time to do dinner and didn't know what she was going to do. And I said, not a problem. I've got it taken care of. So I made them, like I said, some awesome chili, cornbread, and man, they just loved it. So again, like I talked about earlier, it's kind of a time right now that help other people out. Do something kind for your neighbors. I've made cookies a handful of times. And what's funny is my neighbor gave me some muffins that their daughter made, and they're real healthy, and they're like banana nuts muffins, a couple little small ones. They were really good. So I had a plate, and then so I washed it and I gave it back to them. But I gave them back. I made some cookies. I have a habit. I sometimes I'll get a craving and I'll make some cookies, but I only want to eat one or two. I don't want all of them that I make, so I give them away. So I
Yeah.
was just like, here, I'm gonna load it up on their plate and give it back, which I was like, good, man, this is awesome. Well,
Oh man.
the next day they gave me the plate back loaded with cookies. So I was like, crap, now I feel obligated to eat them, and I've eaten 3/4 of them.
Yeah. Well.
So
Well, you could throw a couple to Coco.
uh,
Not Coco. That's Adam's dog. What? Wait,
Sadie,
wait.
Sadie,
Sadie. That's right. My
man,
goodness,
I
I'm
am
getting the
not
dog
giving.
names
Yeah,
confused.
I am not giving that dog table food. Except on
That's
her
right.
birthday. On her birthday, she's 2 years old now. So her first birthday,
Dang it.
I gave her some filet mignon, a little
Did you
piece of
really?
that. Yeah. And then on her
Oh man.
second one, I got her a T-bone.
Sadie probably loved that.
Oh, she does, and she thinks she's going to get it every day. Typical
Oh
female,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
Maybe. So,
Hmm.
but no, it's been awesome. So probably the last thing that I have, unless you have anything else, is going forward. How's things going to change for you? How's things going to change with your family? We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but what
Yeah.
can you foresee as going, hey, I like this and I want to keep it that way?
Man. Well, and I tried to say it a little bit earlier to put it in perspective, but some of the things that we're appreciating right now, we realize they're going to go away.
Yeah, yeah,
Every intention is to not be working from home, but to get back into work and do that. We're
sure.
just trying to go by what the city of Franklin and Bill Lee, the mayor or the governor of Tennessee, is saying. So, so the things that we're enjoying right now, and we're able to do, like some of the things, like I said, hey, I get to eat breakfast with my kids. That's great. I can go and have lunch, or maybe I'm done a little bit early because I'm home here because I don't have to drive home. Things like that.
Yeah,
We realize those are temporary, so we're just enjoying them while they are. And then once everything opens back up and gets back to normal, which who knows what normal's actually ever going to be again, but
sure.
whenever that happens, then we'll just realize that what we had while we were doing it, we can appreciate things while they happen. So,
Sure.
And we know that, and we're good with that. So,
yeah, I agree with that. So I have nothing else, but what I do want to let is all of our the people listening, and this is going to be a little bit unique, and I think this is something that we should continue and do maybe once a month, is do a private podcast that goes to our dealers.
yeah,
I think that's something, and we're going to do that, I believe, Tuesday. So
Yeah.
you, Adam, and myself will all chime in. We'll have Adam on Skype as well, and we'll all sit in and have a conversation as what's going on with our dealers, what's their concerns, what's their needs, how are they doing, and we're just going to talk business from our dealer standpoint and see if we can't solve anything, see if we can't encourage people, see if we can't do something. Again, I think this is something that once a month or whatever, we should do a private one and sit
Yeah.
down and have a direct one to our dealers. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be good. So
I agree. I think we have a lot of dealers that I think would appreciate that, and there's some other dealers that I think we need to encourage them to participate in that because everybody needs encouragement.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the dealer who sent me an email, basically what he was saying is thanks for encouraging me.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
life was happening to him, and there's a lot of unknowns. So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's part of our job, which I think we do, and we want to continue to do, and even do a better job doing it. So encourage,
Absolutely.
help, do whatever we possibly can. So
Wherever we can.
that's
So,
my takeaway.
Okay, man. That's all I've got. I think
Okay.
I think this is good. I think everybody knows we need to stick to it, stick together, help how you can.
Yeah.
If your business is thriving, maybe see how you can extend a helping hand in your community, or whatever. So
I agree with
I
that.
think,
Well,
yeah, so.
why don't you close us out, and
Right.
we'll go out and get some lunch and move on throughout our day.
That's right. Well, this is closing out our first pandemic podcast episode.
We need to get a shirt that says "We survived the pandemic" or something.
Yeah, we survived the pandemic. Yeah, but actually, we should all get that. But but it's a good episode. I hope we've encouraged everybody.
Yes.
And my goodness, that sound was loud. So, but hope we encourage everybody. But everybody just needs to go to musicretailshow.com. We'd love to get some feedback on this. Musicretailshow@gmail.com would be great if people could just share with what they're doing.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about it. Maybe we could talk about it in future episodes.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
but that's it, man.
Well, stay safe.
You
Let your
too.
family know I'm thinking, praying for them. And if you need anything, shout it out, man. Let me know.
You bet, my man.
All right,
Okay,
dude.
I'll talk to you real soon.
I'll see you.